It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
People are still able to live and not be really stretching things too much. So it's making that, having the Australian dream of buying a home, if someone's not able to do that in a larger city like Sydney, it's definitely worth exploring the option of maybe moving out a little bit further where you can purchase a property.
And that is Simone Fogarty in Orange, New South Wales, as we welcome you back to another Real Estate Breakfast podcast right around Australia. We do it 7 days a week, talking your property news and information from Gympie to Batemans Bay. Good morning if you're in Gympie, only really driven through it, and Batemans Bay, nice little wee spot. Of course, we are streaming on multiple platforms. It is a Monday morning back after the weekend, April the 28th. Here's a question for you this morning. Have you tried to insure your home in the last couple of years only to discover that no insurance company is going to take you on? Well, you're not alone. Millions of Aussie homes are sliding into insurance crisis, with 2.2 million properties now facing moderate to extreme climate risk. PropTrack reported that new Climate Council data reveals that Brisbane leads the nation in coastal inundation danger, while regional New South Wales tops the list for flood and fire threats. Parts of Victoria and South Australia aren't far behind, and alarmingly, 72,000 homes are already virtually uninsurable. And the Climate Council says that without urgent climate action, over 1.3 million properties could be uninsurable by 2100. Mind you, most of us will be gone by then. Let's catch up right now with Simone Fogarty in Orange, New South Wales from One Agency. And good morning to you, Simone. Welcome to the Real Estate Breakfast. As I understand it, you and I were just talking off air. Those climate issues and insurance issues, not such a big deal in Orange.
Hi, Craig. No, it's definitely not. We are very, very fortunate. There were only a very small portion of properties that would need flood cover in Orange, whereas if you're looking a little bit further out west around Forbes, that's where they've had, quite a few issues. And Eugowra a couple of years ago had some devastating flood as well.
So Orange seems to be a bit of a spot where some people moving from Sydney going into Orange, and you were one of them. You moved from West Sydney 8 years ago. Tell us a little bit about that.
I did, yeah. So I'm previously living at Luddenham and decided city living wasn't for us anymore and thought a tree change was just what we needed. We had a young family. We'd driven through Orange a few times and decided, let's just do it. Worst case, we could always come back. We didn't know anyone at all, so just moved here with my husband and 2 kids. And honestly, it was the best decision that we've made. It was just so welcoming. It's a beautiful community, great place to raise the kids. Got everything that we need, but still close enough to Sydney and main areas if you're needing to go down there, and obviously still to visit family who are living down in Sydney.
So tell us a little bit about the population as it stands at the moment for Orange, and also the drive time. Did you mention that?
Oh, no, I didn't. So drive time, you're looking around sort of 3.5 hours, 4 hours, as long as you pick your good times. If it is near like a public holiday or anything like that, those times can, go through the roof depending on which way you're traveling. So I always make sure we check which way we're going. We're quite lucky because most people tend to head out further west when we're heading in. So we're usually against the traffic, which is really lucky.
And let's have a look at the median house price at the moment, hovering around that 690,000 over the last 12 months, minus 1.4%. I think looking at the stats, Simone, April of last year in the housing market, that looks like that's where you peaked, 706,000.
Yes, yeah. So everything really skyrocketed during COVID. A lot of people were moving out of to, Orange and similar areas out of Sydney, especially when working from home became an option. So that really opened a lot more doors. And I think one of the key factors for people was, especially with the lockdowns, being stuck at home, being able to have more space. And, because housing prices in Orange, even though they have increased quite significantly, since I've moved here and during COVID, it's still much more affordable. You can get a, larger block of land. You're not so cramped in spaces. Even our housing estates, the roads, you can easily drive 2 cars and have 2 cars parked. That was one of the key things when we first drove around North Orange, where we ended up buying. From Western Sydney, if you're looking around sort of Glenmore Park and other areas, the streets in the housing estates are really, really narrow. It was a nice change when we saw that and went through the estates up here in Orange.
And as far as the rental market is concerned, rental yields 4.4% from PropTrack, median snapshot for the unit prices. Now, this will be of interest for first home buyers. 450 grand is the median price for units. That is down though, minus 10%. And it looks like your market in the units, it peaked around March 2024 last year, 505,000, with the yields doing a little bit better, 5.1%.
So I think with the units, what we're finding is quite interesting because the, prices have gone up both sales and rental side. Couples are looking at buying smaller properties to be able to enter the market. And equally, they're quite attractive for investors because at the moment we're finding the most popular properties that are being leased are either like your 4-bedroom homes or your smaller 1 to 2 bedroom properties, especially if people are, single or couple, they're picking those properties so that they're still able to save to, eventually, like we all have the dream to be able to buy their own home.
All right, so we are talking to Simone Fogarty there in Orange. We'll come back after the break and we'll have a look at just how much growth Orange has had since COVID. We'll do that next.
Remember to follow us on any of the podcast platforms so you never miss a real estate podcast. You can follow us on Apple, Spotify and Amazon. Know your property with us.
And right now it is time for another property tip. And recently we were talking to Jules in Townsville and she's going to help us out today with another piece of advice.
Great piece of advice for our sellers before coming to the market is to make available their insurance claim history. Now, we are a flood area and we are a windy area. And sometimes buyers place a stigma on a home or a location because they believed it flooded or it was damaged during a cyclone. By producing a really transparent document of no claims clearly proves straight away that the home was unaffected by the weather event the buyers are referring to.
We don't just report on real estate news, we take you to the source of the information. We produce more property podcasts every week than anyone else. We are your trusted guide for all things real estate.
And it is a Monday morning back after the weekend. We are in Orange talking with Simone there. She's giving us a great breakdown and a good feel for what the market is doing. Before I ask you about what happened around that COVID period, Simone, what about some of the better performing suburbs of Orange?
So when you're looking at Orange, the main areas that people are drawn to, West Orange is definitely where there are higher value properties. North Orange is also very popular because it's quite close to the Waratah Sporting Club. So if people have young families, it's a really close proximity. It also has its own Woolworths and little shopping centre, so you're not having to go right into town. Mind you, getting directly into town from most areas of Orange is usually within sort of a 10 to 15-minute time frame. So it's all very close proximity. Very different from when I was living down in Sydney.
Yeah, fair enough. And 60 days seems to be the days on market for both the housing and the unit markets.
Yes, that's correct. We're seeing, so it has increased. During COVID, it was down, a lot lower than that. And we're finding at the moment that it's more of a buyer's market. So vendors are really needing to be careful with their price to make sure it reflects the current market and that they're not trying to obtain prices that we were seeing during those peaks in COVID and a few years ago.
Yeah, and just having a look at those peaks, because during COVID, Orange's property market saw this significant growth with median house prices increasing by 53%. I mean, that's surpassing Sydney's 37% growth, which was pretty good in the same period. Is it fair to say that recent data is showing that the market is now stabilising?
I believe so, yes. In that increase that we've seen, it's never happened before in the market of Orange. It's always had, pretty steady growth, but nothing to those figures that we've seen. I think it would be quite unlikely if we see that again. So we are seeing that prices are stabilising. So it is a good time to enter the market, whether, relocating or looking for an investment, because the median house price is a lot less than like your Sydney or CBD areas of Australia. And it's got, everything that you're really needing for somewhere to live or to be attractive for potential tenants.
Okay, so let's have a look at those first home buyers, Simone. Very popular Oranges for buyers under that $600,000 mark.
It is, yes. So being able to buy a home for that, around that sort of price range, people are still able to live and not be really stretching things too much. So it's making that, having the Australian dream of buying a home, if someone's not able to do that in a larger city like Sydney, it's definitely worth exploring the option of maybe moving out a little bit further where you can purchase a property. There's lots of good jobs around Orange and it's a really wide variety of employment opportunities. There's the uni, hospital. We have the Newmont mine that's about 40 minutes from Orange that employs a lot of people. So there's a really diverse range of roles available if people are willing to think outside of the box a little bit.
And just before I let you go, investors, they seem to be coming from wide and far around Australia for some property investments.
They do, yes. So we've got a really strong rental market. So our office average day on market sitting at 8, the average is 20, and our vacancy rate's only at 1.02%. The rental market here is really quite strong. We've got a great selection of tenants, and it's always, been quite strong over the history. If someone's looking for an investment that they're looking at holding on to that's going to maintain and grow in value.
All right, so that is a very good breakdown. You have done a wonderful job there, Simone, in selling Orange to our listeners this morning. It certainly breaks it down in a very succinct way. Enjoy your 2025. Good luck with what is going to happen over the next quarter. And thanks for coming on to the Real Estate Breakfast this morning.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
From interest rates rising, a shifting landscape, rentals running hot, clearance rates, a tight rental market, buyer-vendor sentiment, we cover it all every morning from 6 a.m. on the Real Estate Breakfast.
The older investors who have held these investment properties for a long time are selling, where they're seeing new regulation come in, and obviously in Victoria, and just not seeing really the point in holding on to the investment. Even with the rental prices going up quite rapidly over the last 2 years.
I'm not sure where the answer is amongst those people who are experiencing this. Unfortunately, there's no cheap alternative anymore. I look around, Sydney, where we're based, and you go, well, what if you move out a little bit further? It doesn't seem to get much cheaper.
Well, I'm really fortunate here at Barry Plant. The very first High Performers event I went to was fascinating, Craig, particularly given my previous history where I was used to certain patterns of behaviour from high-performing agents. But I was looking around the room thinking, these people just look like normal people. They're talking like normal people. They're not carrying, $10,000 handbags. And that's one of the things I absolutely love about this group is that, even the high performers are very normal and very relatable and very humble.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.